Hello everybody, this is Geography in My Backyard project, Cathedral Rock Park by Briseño. Here we see the map of where I started and where I ended of the trail that I walked on the day that I decided to take the photos. This next location that I will be showing y'all is an ephemeral stream that doesn't carry water until it rains and then dries back up again. As you can tell from the blue on the map, that is the ephemeral stream, and all of this stream here is an ephemeral stream because it does only carry water when it rains. There are some really shallow sections that have water, but it is not flowing at all. And the green circle is where I will be showing you where I took the photos of this stream. On the left hand side of the screen, you can see the tree that I decided to photograph. It is very strange because it is literally sitting on top of this stream, and the roots are very visible because of the fact that as water flows through this stream, it erodes and takes away a lot of the soil that was around, if there was any soil at all, but it has decided to grow on top of the rocks. I'm sure the deepest roots are deep into the ground, but it looks floating to me, so I decided to take a photo of this tree as well. Continuing on my trek on this trail, I decided to stop in this area where the blue circle and the blue arrows are. This is the view of the area where I stopped to take the photos of the next process. So next we will be talking about biotic or biological weathering, which happens when you start with one rock and it gets broken down into the same type of rock, but it can be usually broken by a plant or an animal. Here in this photo, we can see that there is a tree trunk, and this tree trunk is coming out of this rock, and it is biotic weathering because of the fact that it is a plant. Here are different angles of the same rock and tree. On the left, you see the photo of the previous, but from a different angle, and on the right, you can see that it's not only one tree, but there are two trees that are coming out of this rock formation. Next, we will talk about chemical weathering, and this happens because of some chemical process. You start with one kind of rock, and that rock breaks down into smaller pieces of a different type of rock or chemical. The chemical in the rock reacts with the chemical in the atmosphere. Here in this photo, you can kind of see, but barely, it's there, a brown type of orange color on the side of the rocks. And here we have rust. And this happens when the chemical on the rock oxidizes and it creates rust. On the photo on the left, you see that there is more rust. The red is just graffiti, and on the photo on the right, you see limestone, and you see that there is a lighter color and a darker color, and that's oxidation. The next thing I'll be talking about is mechanical weathering. And mechanical weathering happens when a rock is weathered down into a smaller piece of rock, and the smaller piece of rock ends up being the same type of rock as when it started. Here we see purple arrows pointing to a circle, and this is the next location in my trail that I went to. With mechanical weathering, it can be frost wedging, salt wedging, or temperature change. Here in this photo, you see there is a big gap between two pieces of rock, and this most likely happened because here in Texas, as the nights get colder, the temperature drops, and in the daytime, the temperature rises. So because of this, the particles expand and decrease, and you can't really see it, but over time, this rock gets a crack, a small crack, and then it grows and grows and grows, eventually splitting a whole rock in half, sometimes into multiple pieces. The process of things being broken down is called denudation, the overall effect of disintegration, wearing away, and removal of rock material. There are three types of activities that cause this. There is weathering, which I talked about the most during my presentation, mass wasting, and erosion. And weathering is everything that is exposed on the surface. This could be openings on bedrock, like here. It allows weathering to transfer deeper. So here in this photo, we had probably a small little joint, and a joint is an open area where plants can grow. Not only that, but where water and ice can seep into. And the joints cause cracking from stress. Heading out from my walk on the trail, I ran into a snake, and the yellow circle is where I saw it. So walking out, I was looking at my phone because I was tracking where I was walking, not looking at the trail. And then out of the corner of my eye, I saw something move, and it was this snake. Can you guess what kind of snake this is? So if you haven't guessed it already, it is a coral snake, and coral snakes are very venomous. The way to remember the venomous from the non-venomous is red touch yellow, kill a fellow. And in the light, you can definitely tell that there is red touching yellow. And the non-venomous snakes are the scarlet king snake, and red touch black, friend of Jack, is the way to remember the non-venomous. And that concludes my presentation.